All right, so the focus of this call is talking about menu planning, meal prep, and really just the nutrition side of things. Sometimes I think that it's hard. It is hard because there's a lot, and it's kind of shifting a lot of things that we may be brought up with a different perspective or approach, or just for me, I felt like a lack of knowledge. Like a lot of it, I was like, oh, that's why we need to eat it more than just eat this because it's healthy and you'll lose weight or something. But like, why did your body need it? I think was helpful in being successful. And then also just all the resources, even as a coach, realizing what was available. Lori, are you prepping?
No.
Oh.
Sorry, can you see me?
No, I can't see you. I know if you're getting organized for tomorrow.
No, I'm making popcorn. Sorry.
All right, so what I'm going to do, if you have questions, there's a chat on the bottom of your screen. If you kind of float on the bottom of the Zoom, you can type in questions, or like I said, you can ask questions. So everyone on this call, I believe, is doing some form of Ultimate Portion Fix. Sarah, is that what you're doing as well? You're doing the menu that goes with, which is 21-day fix, the containers, right? You can hear me. I'll keep going, but feel free, Sarah, to jump in. Darcy, you're continuing with the containers, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. And then for this month, if anyone is following like the summer like remix workout calendar, follow the calculations that you would do for 21-day fix, like the original one, because of the length of the workouts and the intensity overall, you would want to follow that bracket. It would give you a more accurate for what you're going to calorie burn for the month. So, which while we're on there really quick, has anyone tried a workout so far that like, oh wow, I really like that, or wow, I didn't really like that? What do you think, Darcy?
Yeah, the very first one, I can't remember what it was. My calendar's over there. I didn't care for it. It was very fast.
It was Turbo Fire?
Yes. I ended up doing a few minutes and then I was like, nope, I'm going to do something else.
But I love that you did that. I love one that you tried it and then you're like, yeah, I'm not so sure about this. And you switched, which is good because I think it's nice that sometimes giving something a chance and seeing if it's your thing. And then also, instead of just saying like, I'm going to power through this and be completely miserable, or I'm going to do 2 minutes and just go shower, you then switched and did another workout. So I think that's awesome. So, and I don't know, I want to say this might be, who's the person that just logged on? I only see a number, not a name. I want to say it's Amanda, maybe.
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Okay.
So you're doing,
I've been fighting with this for a few minutes, so I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. All right, so what I'm going to do now is share my screen. And I want you guys to stop me at any point where you're like, okay, explain that, or where is that? I just want to walk through some of the resources. Some of this might be review, and that's great. Some of it may be new, and so stop me if you need to. So something I didn't realize, and that's why I'm explaining it to you guys or pointing it out, is the fact that on Beachbody On Demand, it also links to the Beachbody blog. Now, the view is a little bit different. Like when you are looking for it on your phone to access the nutrition stuff, you are going to want to access it through the nutrition app. But if you're on your desktop, which for a lot of this stuff, I do prefer it. I think it's just quicker and easier to access. So you would go to Beachbody On Demand, and then you can click on the blog. And a lot of things I've linked in our Facebook group just to keep it all in one spot, and I kind of try to organize things so you can find them by theme, but I do want to also empower you guys to know where to look if you're looking for stuff yourself. So whether it's you're looking for new menu plans or you're looking for new recipes, or even like they really do some really good articles sometimes. So I actually sent one to Darcy the other day. You know, you can go to the blog and be like, you know, say knee pain, and oops, I just wrote knee. But anyways, they'll come up with articles that they have put on here that relate to whether it's a stretching exercise or if you have knee pain, things that you can do to modify or relieve that. So, of course, you can always ask me, or if Gloria's your coach or Sarah's your coach, you can ask them as well, and they can help point you in the direction. But this is a great resource beyond just the nutrition stuff. But you can go on, and there's nutrition, there's meal plans. So I've linked a lot of them to you guys, but they do them, you know, meal planning on a budget. They talk about, you know, post-workout meals for 80-day obsession, which if you feel like, oh, you know, what even fits that bracket? There are tips for specific programs, but honestly, it doesn't really matter if it says like Body Beast. If it fits the calorie bracket that you're in, you can use it. It's going to align very closely to whatever, you know, if you're doing 21-day fix, but you need 200 or 2,200 calories, go ahead and pick that. Does that all make sense? Was this a resource you guys didn't know was available to you? You can also search just recipes. So a lot of my meal plans, especially when I was doing 80-day obsession, I really tried to seek out these recipes, because what's great about them is, you know, I shared this in the group, you know, you can click on the coconut shrimp one, you scroll down, and where is it? Oh, of course, this is going to be one that, I don't know where it is. They always, okay, this one's specific for To Be Mindset, but sorry, that's not usually the case. Most of them will say both your To Be Mindset, what meal it aligns with, and the container system. So let me go down here and show you one that I know. We'll do it if you want like breakfast ideas. I've done that before where I'm searching like breakfast ideas, and they will come up with a variety of ones that you can choose from. But say they try to really put ones in that are going to be family friendly, that are going to both be healthy and nutritious, but ones that your family might like. Like chances are a lot of families enjoy pasta, but this one, you know, adds in spinach where they're not really going to taste it. Yes, they may see it, but spinach is something that sometimes we can hide in foods, and those will eat it as well. But if you scroll down, it will tell you the container equivalent. So it's very easy when you are trying to meal prep. You can go off. It's already figured out for you. You do have to be careful with anything that you find on Pinterest, because it could be coaches or just people who are guesstimating, where these are actually calculated by nutritionists, dietitians, you know, the team that is the experts in that field. So just something to be cautious of. It's not always going to be a big deal, but if you're really trying to be narrowing things down, going off the, you know, fixate recipes are going to be your go-to, or the To Be Mindset ones are really going to make sure that you're, you know, doing the best you can. There's something else I wanted to show you guys on here and I lost it. So what I've done in our group, if you haven't noticed, the Facebook group is the learning tab. You click on that. There's different tabs that I try to put resources. Sometimes I forget to save them, so I will go back and add them in later. But there's a unit on meal planning, and there's tips like a little obsession nutrition guides in there. There is a simple meal plan for 80-day obsession, because I know that that is one that kind of can take more thought because of the time nutrition piece of it. And then there's, you know, some recipes and links for specific meals. So just something to kind of help get you guys in the right direction. If you are just starting out, using the ones from the blog that are already written, I'm just trying to go back to it, is super helpful. It just saves a lot of stress in the beginning from you having to put together your meal plan and also follow a meal plan, where you can just print out a meal plan and go. And then you could just, if there's like a vegetable you don't prefer or there's a protein you don't prefer, substitute those out. But more or less you can just print the plan for the week and maybe add a little bit for your family, but really saves that stress. I know, and I would love for anyone to jump in. It seems like a lot in the beginning, and it is. But can anyone attest to the fact that prepping, whether it's full-on prep on a weekend or just doing your groceries and washing your vegetables, like what kind of difference it has made for you throughout the week?
Okay, I'll go.
I think you're muted, Darcy.
Oh,
Go ahead, Gloria.
okay. I've done it both ways. I've done a full prep on a Sunday for all meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks, and everything on a Sunday. That works really well. I think that way you don't have to think about it the rest of the week. And I've also done like bulk meal prepping, where I've done like breakfast and lunch and more of like go-to items like cooked quinoa or certain vegetables like a stir fry. So that way, if I know I have a couple of dinners during the week that are going to be busy, that I have something kind of set aside that I can go to.
Right.
So I've done it in different ways. Sometimes I haven't meal prepped, and that definitely makes it more challenging during the week. But if I can, I definitely try to set aside like Sunday afternoon and meal prep at least my breakfast and lunches for the week for work. What about you, Darce?
Yeah, it was really, really difficult in the begining, just because I was overwhelmed. But now that I've done it, and I kind of do the same things, like as far as if I make chicken, I'll change my chicken up a little bit, like with the seasoning, if it's shredded, or just cut it up. But I definitely feel like if it's there and prepared, it's a lot easier for me. And like tomorrow, I'm kind of stressing out because I've all my veggies. I have no more veggies, so I'm gonna have to, run to the store at lunchtime to make sure I have my veggies. But yeah, I think definitely having them ready and accessible is so much easier and less stressful.
That's awesome. So one thing I like to do as far as meal prep and help, because I typically plan 6 dinners. I used to plan 7 and I always felt like I had extra. Now everyone is very different, and I've just found that's kind of our rhythm with our family, that either we end up with leftovers or we inevitably like get together with friends or go to dinner. So I kind of have a flex day. Now, we sometimes don't have a meal for that day, so I do try to keep frozen veggies in our freezer. I, of course, love and prefer fresh ones, but I find something that's super convenient as an option, and actually something that I've read is that sometimes they're even more nutritious as far as, because when they pick the vegetables that they're going to freeze, it's at their like peak ripeness, versus sometimes in the store, they pick them early and then they travel. So sometimes having those backup options. Chewy Mindset, she even recommends, options of canned vegetables. So that's something, depending on your taste, your preference, kind of having that. Or I get to know some recipes that align with your goals. You kind of know ones that are quick and easy that you can kind of have in your back pocket, or even sometimes having, if we cook soup, that can be something that has a lot of extra, and we're not great about eating something past one day left over. So what I try to do is, if I feel like we're going to have more than what we can consume the next day for lunches, is I freeze in portions. So having containers or baggies, whatever works for your family. So when you run into that, where it's a crazy day, or there's even sometimes where I'm like, I have this meal planned and I'm super exhausted, so I don't want to cook. We can pull that out, and whether it's heated up or, you know, throw it in a saucepan or something. But I don't have to like do a full on dinner, but I'm staying on track. And even if it's not like perfect with your containers, I do want to stress to you guys, like, don't obsess over that. Like, of course, there's this ideal standard of following the meal plan, but it's a work in progress. So do give yourself grace. Like, don't stress if you're like off with your containers. That is something that has come up before, where people, you know, get worried about that. Now, of course, if you're consistently not getting in your greens and you're over on yellows, then that is a concern sometimes. But don't stress if it's like half a container here or half a container there, over or under. They are guesstimations for the average person, of course, backed by research and stuff. But, you know, it's not a quote unquote perfect science. And even Autumn and the other trainers and, you know, like that. So do give yourself grace as far as being perfect all the time. And I know, Darcy, we talked about this a little bit about vacation. You know, do you know that there are sometimes just, I think, waking up in the morning and being like, okay, today, these are the challenges I'm going to face, and this is how I'm going to approach it. You know, whether it's, I have all of these, like we had a lot of dinners out this week. So I'm like, okay, well, you know, I don't have the choice. I have Bible study. So I'm going to drink my shake before I go. And when I go, I'm going to be purposeful about picking a meal that is the better options that align, and just know, like, okay, get back on track tomorrow. But being proactive is important. And that is something that I've learned, as good as, I think, doesn't matter how long you've been doing this, is that we still have to be very intentional about the nutrition piece. All right, so back in our group, I did put in the meal planning, there are the meal plans for different calorie brackets. So when you click on that, and I should go back because it's not actually by like ABC, it's by the like specific calories. So, you know, 1,500 to 1,800. And these are all the different ones that you could print out that would align with that calorie bracket, which I believe that's B. Yeah, so there's A, B, C. The only thing is that I think it does cap out at D. But you could just take one of those and you can increase your portions to align with E, E or F. Are you guys aware, or do you keep in the back of mind, as you guys, probably every month when you are doing like your reassessment as far as like your progress, as you gain or lose weight, depending on what your goal is, you do want to recalculate your calorie bracket, because you may not realize that you need to bump down or bump up depending on your workouts or the progress you've made. So your body may not need the same amount. So just keep that in mind. And to also be eating all of your containers, it's hard, and you will be training your body. I'd love for anyone to share experience with that, like the shift that you've had by changing the foods that you're consuming. Do you feel like you can keep up with the amount of food that it may seem to be in the beginning, or just any of your thoughts? Because a lot of you have been at least a month, if not more, following these. Any kind of feedback?
Yeah, it was definitely tough in the beginning for me because I did not feel hungry when it was time to eat again. But I wasn't doing it, like I wasn't eating or starting early enough. So once I've started, you know, eating early enough or getting that first meal in early enough, it's been following right on track. And sometimes I'm still not hungry when it's time for that meal, but I know, like, Gloria gave me a good, thought about it. Like, well, if you're not hungry then, but are you finding yourself starving before dinner and, snacking before dinner or eating too much at dinner? So I just try to keep that in mind when I'm not hungry and it's time for a snack or something.
Yeah, that is very helpful. I mean, it's okay too, like if you felt like, oh, I'm still very full, because depending on what you're choosing for your containers is also going to affect how full you're made. Like, I'm sure you guys notice, like, eating lettuce versus broccoli may affect you differently.
Mm-hmm.
So just be aware of that too. You could always have something that's a little bit lighter, because the calories would actually be a little bit different that you're consuming. But I do think that that's important. That's something I find sometimes where it's like, oh, I'm not really hungry. And then all of a sudden you go from not hungry to starving, and then you're, taking over your whole pantry. I've been there. So
yeah.
So that's awesome. All right. Let's see what else. So if you are not already in the Challenge Tracker app, please let me know. I'm going to scan through and make sure everyone's shifted over from our group. That's the other thing before I do the Challenge Tracker app. If you don't know, I wanted to create a group. I know this group can get, our ongoing Facebook group can be hard because it's an ongoing group. So I wanted something that was just focused on the essentials for anyone coming in. But I do think it's helpful for those that maybe had been around. I have to scan. So, here's one of our girls, Gina. Let's see. All right, so I created this and try to organize it too in a similar sense of, like, what's the basic stuff that you need. So I did include a section about mindset. Gloria spoke on this. And I was thinking about this with something that was a tool that was given to me, and it was relating to goals. Actually, it's like a whole planner about goals. And when it was given to me, I never used it, and I didn't find it useful. But then I thought about, like, was it that the tool wasn't useful, or was I not in the right frame of mind to use it because it has, like, rave reviews? And I think that that's how it is sometimes with our goals, that sometimes, like, we need to come back to it, whether it's a workout program or even, like, the container system works really well for someone else. Well, someone else needs you to be in mindset to start out, or vice versa. You might shift gears depending on where you are in the moment. But also, as far as staying on track, your mindset just plays a huge role in that. So I do talk about it a little bit in this foundational group. I talk about Beachbody On Demand, kind of how to access it, where all the workouts are, briefly about the two different major nutrition programs, Shakeology. I will add more about Performance Line. That's typically something that people branch out later, so I didn't feel like it was necessary to put in there now. But if you guys have questions, if you feel like you really don't have the energy to work out, or just get motivated, or even lack of focus, I do like Energize, and that's the pre-workout. The post-workout, I feel like if you have to choose between Recover or Shakeology, I would go with Shakeology personally, because it's the protein with nutrients that we often don't get elsewhere in our diet, where Recover is a protein with BCAAs, which help with muscle recovery, which, depending on the workouts you're doing, you may or may not need it, but some people may be starting out may need that if they're having a lot of muscle fatigue. So that's all preference. They also have creatine, and they have an evening Recover, and the Hydrate, which I do use Hydrate occasionally because if I'm bad about my water intake, I do like to kind of add that in, or when it's really hot out and stuff. So it's kind of like their Gatorade version. I talk about the Challenge Tracker, talk about meal prepping in there, and then I will, if I find the need, add in other commonly asked questions. Now popping over to the Challenge Tracker app. So this month I was trying to think about like how to base the prize and how do we, like who earns it or deserves it. All right, so we have 10 more minutes. So this is set up. I do want to bring it up here. It's not meal prepping, but it does relate to this month, so I want to make sure I talk about it. Is when you set up all of your things, you have the option to share your posts. So you don't have to. I'm not going to say that it's required to be in the group, but I am going to encourage and reward those who do share, because it kind of like, it's not fun for you guys to see stuff from me. Honestly, like I don't want to go on there and see stuff just for me. So I want to see you guys. I want to see your faces. Don't worry if you're a sweaty mess. Like that's the fun of it all, is like real life. But share what you want as your comfort level, even if you just want to share like the ingredients, but not pictures of everything of your Shakeology. If there's recipes that you guys come across, it's nice to hear that, like especially if you tried a recipe that is from the Beachbody blog or one of the recipe books, because there are hits and miss. Like for me, there's been ones where I'm like, oh, that's okay, I won't repeat it. Or I know certain ones, like maybe it doesn't hold up as well the next day. So sharing that feedback to other people can be really helpful as they go through this journey with us all. So you can, I recommend once a day. Like come in here once a day, log in, you know, glance through, comment, and like other people's posts, encourage each other. That's really what makes these groups fun. I do find, I say it all the time, but I really do think it's true. Those who are active are those who are typically the ones that stay on track and hit their goals. Just, you know, leaning into this community. You can share the good and bad. You don't have to just share all of your wins. Like if you're struggling, share them in the group, and you never know, someone might have some helpful feedback. You know, if you're not getting your containers, they've been through it before, they can share what's worked for them or what they've noticed for themselves. So this month's prize is going to be based off of course, your workouts and your Shakeology, but also the person who is the most engaged is going to be the one. So that's semi-subjective, but it will be, of course, based off of the activity. So it will be something that I will be going through and noting. I will also strive to be better, that I will do peer updates about everyone's on track with like their workouts and Shakeology and kind of that progress as the month goes. So I'll be sharing that as well. In the last few minutes that we have, I want to open up and answer any questions that you guys have. Anyone have anything? I will. In the chat. Lori loves the blog. I do, and it's something that, like, I would say even the first year and a half, I didn't even really know it existed. Like, I just didn't utilize the tools there. And then now I go to it a lot. And both recipe books I really like. I am definitely going to, I think I'm out of stock of all the ones that I have. I'll be mailing mine out. Darcy, you don't have the original one, right?
What's that?
You just have the Ultimate Portion Fix recipe book, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll be getting the other one, which has a few that I really like that I'll highlight them. I'll try to put Post-its on the ones that we use the most, which of course it's family subjective, but I will share them in there. But even your Shakeology, like if you feel like you haven't found a recipe that you like, Recover, I think they even have some recipes for that as well, but most people typically drink that with water or just almond milk. But yeah, like if you're stuck on like, you're getting bored with the same recipe, there's so many on there. So Sarah, any questions? And the other person, I'm not sure who that is.
Can you hear me?
I can. Do you have any questions or anything you want to share?
No, sorry. I'm like struggling with kids not wanting to go to bed. So
Oh, I've got a couple too.
Oh my gosh, both of them.
I'm like 3 out of 4 are in here, and so I'm a little distracted.
That's okay. I mean, we're moms on here, most, and it just happened. Our girls had swim and camped today, and Nora only took a car nap. So I was like, okay, nobody gets to sleep when we get home because then you'll be in bed for this fall. So, I've been there.
It's our first day of summer break. It was like yesterday we were in the emergency room with our second son getting his lips stitched up, and today one of the kids broke the glass door on our oven.
Oh,
We're a mess.
how does that even happen, right?
I know. That's what my husband came home and he was like, how? It's amazing what they can do.
Oh my gosh.
We've had some fun times.
That's great.
So it's out of routines and oh, gentle.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I feel like this summer you have to find a new rhythm. Well, if you guys have questions, feel free to post them. If there's something that you feel like you would love to have a call on, kind of like I have 2 weeks a month that I kind of planning, but there's potential that we could do more if the need is there. But if there's an area that you would love more feedback or more support, and would love to do like a call like this, share them in the group. Send me a message. Lori's send her a message, and let her know, or Sarah know, what questions you have. So, I'm excited for June, guys. I'm doing an ultimate reset. I've never done it, so.
Is that the 3-day challenge?
Oh no, this is the 21 day. This is like,
it's 20.
yeah. So there's parts of it that they say is easier than the 3-day cleanse, which I liked. I really liked, and that's actually what made me feel like I needed to do this. And then it's a lot of focus about the mind and body, just kind of like de-stressing, and just like in so many ways. So with my husband leaving, I took online as well, and it's a lot of fun. That's the worst I've heard. So I have 3 weeks planned out. I have to make my grocery list and go. So
Awesome.
I will keep you guys posted on it. But yeah, keep doing what you guys are doing. It's been fun, and I'm excited for the summer with you guys. All right, I'm gonna let you guys do bedtime.
Yes. Good night. Thank you.
Okay, good night.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.